good morning, and welcome to the Fear to Freedom Project YouTube channel. I'm so excited today because I am cooking it up with Chef Kenny Clay, and I'm going to bring him to the stage. I'm so excited. Welcome. Hello, Chef. Welcome to my YouTube channel. I'm so excited. I'm like a little girl because I'm excited to interview you. I really, really am. And thank you. Welcome to my channel. How are you today, this morning?
Good morning. Thank you for having me. I'm excited
Ye-
also. It's so good to see you.
It's good to see you too. Like we haven't seen each other in decades. I have to let everybody know that I met you when I was 18 years old. That is literally 4 decades ago. Okay. And you were working in Bull Feathers Restaurant as a chef. How old were you then?
I was like 20.
You were 20? Okay, okay, good. So
Yeah.
this was my first real job. And funny story for the audience. I worked for my best friend. She was like the accountant or comptroller or something. She did something in payroll. That's just been her MO in her professional career. But she was starting out at 18 on Capitol Hill and she hired me. I was a freshman at Hampton University, and when I came home for the summer, she gave me a job, but she also fired me that same year. I think you remember that. But listen, I came for the food after I got it. Honestly, I was an 18-year-old in college and I hung out at night and couldn't get up and go to work. And that's my story. But I met you and you were so great. I want to read the bio to everyone. This is Kenny Clay, Chef Kenny Clay, with over 35 years of experience in culinary arts. Chef Kenny has worked 21 years as an executive chef at Clyde's restaurant for several of their restaurants, also, including the old Ebbitt Grill. And I remember the old Ebbitt Grill. I love that restaurant. 1789 restaurant, Clyde's of Columbia, and Gallery Place and the Hamilton. So you got a lot of nice restaurants under your belt here. He has also worked at Rusty Scupper in Baltimore, Maryland, and Redstone American Grill at the National Harbor in Oxon Hill, Maryland. He has had the privilege to prepare meals for the inaugurals of President Barack Obama, Bill Clinton, and Ronald Reagan. Woo! Who knew it was going to lead to all of this? I'm excited. A District of Columbia native, Chef Kenny is transforming his culinary passion beyond restaurant walls. His cuisine features bold flavors, complex textures, and fresh, locally sourced produce. In 2017, he established a full service catering business, Chef Kenneth Clay LLC. The company has catered large events in Washington, D.C. and around the metropolitan area for A&E, Elton John, White House concert, Viacom, iHeartRadio, Capital One Bank, Georgetown University, and several of our infamous, lovable D.C. government agencies. And I say that with all sincerity because I was born and raised in DC. He has also catered events for corporate and private functions and has a passion for educating his clients with hands on cooking demonstrations and team building events. That's just amazing in and of itself. He loves working with clients to create culinary menus that are tailored, unique, and unforgettable experience. All right. So tell me how you got started. You got I just want to cook. Hashtag I just want to cook. How did you get started?
Well, I started actually right when you met me at
At
Bullfeathers.
Bull Feathers. That was your
Yeah,
first chef job?
that was my first real restaurant job because I worked at Roy Rogers, Roy Rogers fast
Yes.
food.
What?
And then one of my coworkers at Roy Rogers got a job at Bullfeathers, and then she asked me, did I want to talk to the chef? And I said, sure, why not? Because at the time I didn't quite know what I wanted to do at 19 years old,
Hmm.
and and the chef hired me. And to be honest with you, the second I walked into that kitchen, I knew what I wanted to do with my life. That
Oh,
was it. That was the start. That was the start.
wow. Are you
And I was a
serious?
cook. I wasn't. Yeah, I was a cook, and the chefs just took me under their wing, and I was just like, okay, yeah, this is it. This is it.
Wow. So just walking into the kitchen, you just knew. That's good. I'm gonna tell you, because your food was very impressive back then, and I was not even able to even conceptualize like cooking and chefing and all of that stuff. I just wanted to eat, right? But your food was so amazing. It just left an impression on me. It really, really did. Here we are decades later, and you look the same. We got a little bit of age, but you look exactly the same.
You look the
So,
same also.
yes, yes. So listen, I have a lot of questions. I want to know, how did you feel? Were you afraid? Because this is the Fear to Freedom Project, and I started this channel because I am the Fear to Freedom Project. I'm my own project, and I know as we traverse through life, there we are faced with many, many fears, many fears. And were you afraid when you went in there at 19? Did you know? Did you have any fear, any doubt, anything going on in your head at that time?
I was a little intimidated. I was a young
Oh, I'm
teenager.
sorry, I moved that. I'm sorry, I messed that up, but that's okay. We're gonna keep right on going. Go ahead.
No, I was saying I was a little intimidated, but once the chefs took me under their wing and taught me the ropes.
Mhm.
Actually, your friend Allison at the time, she was my girlfriend. She was the one that encouraged me to go to culinary school.
Mm.
And once I went to culinary school and work with trained under the chefs at culinary school, that's when I really, really found my passion for this career. And
Mm.
yeah, I've been going I was working full time when I was going to culinary school. So it's been quite a journey.
That's so good to know that Allison encouraged you. I mean, yeah, that is just her way of being Allison. I can imagine that. So, what's your signature dish?
My signature dish,
Yeah.
you know what dish, like when I worked in restaurants that people would just go crazy over. Actually,
Yeah.
Michelle Obama. I'm
Mhm.
sure everyone knows her,
Yes.
the former first lady.
Mhm.
Her mother came into the restaurant I was working at, Clyde's a gallery place, and I had this signature appetizer, fried green tomatoes with I used to do it with a shrimp, crab, and corn succotash,
Mm.
and I put an herb aioli on top of it, and she loved it. And not only did she love it, I would say that was the most in my restaurant history. That probably was the most requested dish for recipes.
Mm.
Yeah, everyone loved that fried green tomato dish.
So what made that dish so special? Is it because her mom loved it? Is it because of the flavors that you use? Is it because of what you put into it? What made it so special?
You know what? It was the when you're cooking, it's all about flavor, and I do myself and my team, when a lot of chefs, I'm gonna be honest, a lot of chefs don't put a lot of flavor in food, but if you want to be a successful chef, you're serving the public, people are eating your food, and it has to taste good.
Yes, that's true.
And the bottom line is, I think that dish was it's a really good dish.
Mhm, mhm.
Yeah, it's delicious.
And it's not a bad deal that Michelle Obama's mom came in and just totally loved it. But I'm not surprised. I was loving your food when you just walked in the back of Bull Feathers, and I had no idea that it was like, okay, just come in here and we're gonna take you under our wing and cook. I didn't know. I just know that you made a shrimp scampi that I had never tasted in life before. At 18, it was just the flavors were so good, and I used to dream about that dish, and we probably ate that dish every day as long as I
That's
worked
so
there.
funny.
We did until I had to be let go. And I
You know
miss
what? But you
What?
know what? Sorry to cut you off. My
No,
growing up in the metro in DC and Maryland, coming from a family, my mom, she wasn't a chef, but my mom loved to cook, and my mother had cookbooks and all cookbooks, and among the other thousands of books she had around the house, she loved to cook. And when she also belonged to a book club with her girlfriends.
mhm.
So when it came time for the book club to come to our house, Mama would throw down. And we're not talking about like just regular, Southern recipes. Mama would pull out the cookbook, and she was making food from the Julia. Actually, it was a cookbook called The Joy of Cooking.
Mhm.
And yeah, she was making, my mother was making some fancy cuisine back then.
Mhm.
And then I
Mhm.
also had an uncle who was a chef, and I had a next door neighbor, older guy who's still my friend to this day. He's like an older brother than me. He
Mhm.
was a chef, so I was encouraged by, I would say, three people in my life: my mom, my uncle, and my neighbor. And it's so funny, subconsciously back then, like I would watch them cook, and they would come, my neighbor would come over and cook with my mom, and my uncle would come over. I didn't know I wanted to be a chef. I was just in the kitchen watching them cook. And
Mm.
then, here I am. It's so
Yes.
funny how that happened.
Yes, yeah, I was gonna ask you about how your culture impacted you or who impacted you. So your mom, your neighbor, your uncle, and were you kind of just, watching them in the kitchen? Did you even share in the preparation of any meals? Were they explaining anything to you, or were you just watching?
It's so funny when I think back, I was just watching, and I remember watching my uncle and my neighbor. So my uncle, his thing was like presentation, and not just the food, like the event,
Mhm.
the table decorations and the
Mm.
way everything was presented, and then my neighbor would come over. My neighbor would come over, and I just remember him with the knife chopping really fast, and I'm like, wow, look at that.
What?
Yeah, and it's so funny how subconsciously, man, how it's so funny. It's really funny how subconsciously I guess I was watching, and I didn't know I wanted to be a chef. I wanted to be a basketball player like everybody else.
Yeah, no, really? Are you serious?
Yeah.
That's
And
funny.
actually, I wanted to be a basketball player, and I also wanted to be I wanted to be a sports journalist. But
Mhm.
as we can see, here I am now as a chef. So
Well, I'm thankful for you being a chef and for you following your passion because it was ignited in you obviously as a little boy. It sounds like it took collaboration. Somebody's chopping, somebody's doing the presentation. So you had, a holistic view of it. My sister is that way. She's big on presentation. She can also cook. I'm just kind of really I never really enjoyed cooking. I just really enjoyed eating. And so yes, it's the truth. I'm being honest. But lately, of course, as we mature, I wanted to start looking more at my health and how cooking matters in terms of improving my health outcomes. And so I started going to a vegan cooking class. And when I was on your site, I saw vegan dishes and I was like, yes, I love him. Now, I'm not just going to profess to just be this vegan because I just started. I just stopped eating meat and stopped eating dairy on a challenge. And then my pain in my body went away. The pain in my knees went away in just 1 week. So it was a 7-day challenge, but I'm continuing with it. So I looked on there and I saw some vegan dishes. What made you even start to introduce vegan dishes your into your arsenal of food?
when I started my company, like vegan, so funny, vegan started becoming popular like at the same time at the same time, I left restaurants and started my catering company.
Mm.
And you know, and when I was working as a chef in restaurants, we didn't have vegan food on the menu as an option. I would have vegetarian items.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
We would always have like one or two vegetarian dishes on the menu. When I started my own company and the vegan revolution started getting really popular, I was like, you know what?
Mm.
I need to get into this veganness. And actually, my first client was the basketball player. He played overseas, and I knew his mom. And his mom told me he was coming home for the summer. And this is how I really started into vegan,
Mm.
doing a lot of vegan food. His
Mm.
mom told me he was coming home for the summer and he was looking for a chef. And but the kicker was he was a vegan. And I said, okay. So I met with him and he was home for 4 months and we collaborated and I cooked his meals, 2 meals a day. And, you know, we delivered it to his house and it was all vegan food.
Wow.
And that's kind of how I really got started. So once he went back overseas and started, you know, back to his career playing ball after that summer, I really started incorporating a lot of vegan dishes to my menu. And I also realized that's an advantage because it gives you more. It's a lot of events that I do, and especially so I don't know if I told you this. I cater a lot of movie shoots that come, you know, as well as everything else that you mentioned
Mm-hmm.
in my bio. I cater a lot of movie shoots that come to the city. So
Oh.
basically, if with movie shoots and commercials and you know photo shoots on those sets, especially you know the shoots, it's such a you know feeding the crew and also everyone who's in the movie. You know, a lot of the actors and everyone has a lot of special diets, and
Mm-hmm.
they want vegan food.
Yes.
And every big shoot that I do, I have at least two vegan options on the menu,
Wow.
and that gives me that I think that gives me a little bit of an advantage
Mm-hmm.
because I have that in my arsenal.
Yes, you do. And I'm really grateful for it. One thing that I have mastered is making cashew cheese because I'm going to tell you, I was like, I'm never going to give up cheese. I don't want to give up cheese. So yes, I have mastered making cashew cheese and choosing that as my cheese alternative. What would you say would be the hardest thing for people to give up, as you would know it, to go vegan? What would some people? I know for me it's cheese. I was like, I'm not gonna be able to give up cheese. I love it. It tastes so good, but I have not eaten it, Kenny. I have not eaten it, and I don't miss it. There's some alternatives. So do you only use cashews to make cheese, or do you use the other alternatives?
No, I use, you know, there's so many, you know, the whole vegan outlook has expanded so much now that I mean, I'm trying to think 2 weeks ago I had a shoot and um so for instance I had Beyond Burgers on my menu.
Mm,
I had a Beyond Burger with vegan, you know, there's so many different vegan cheeses now.
mhm,
We had vegan cheddar cheese on top of the Beyond Burger, and I made,
mm,
you know, we put sauteed portobello mushrooms, and we made a vegan Dijon
mm,
mayonnaise to go on top of that.
mhm.
And I'll be honest with you, that Beyond Burger, I eat Beyond Burgers myself.
Yes,
I'm not
you
a
like
vegan. I'm not a vegan at all, and I don't, you know, I eat the Beyond Burgers at least once a week because they're delicious.
they
And let me tell
are
you a secret
good.
about the Beyond Burgers. If you slice a portobello mushroom,
Mhm,
cook the Beyond Burger, and you saute the portobello mushrooms, and then you put whatever you want on top of it, your mayonnaise, whatever. That portobello mushroom combination with the Beyond Burger, it makes it taste like a real burger, because portobello mushrooms has a really earthy, meaty flavor. And so that's just a tip for you guys. It's a great combination on top of a vegan burger.
Yes, thank you so much for the tip, honestly, because I am going to a vegan cooking class. I've been doing it for the last like 7 weeks, and I am learning so very much. So portobello mushrooms have become my meat. They actually have become my meat. And I am growing some lion mane here. I didn't know you, so I'm growing some lion mane downstairs. So it's just so many ways now to, like you said, expand your awareness and your alternatives in the vegan world. I'm having a great time with it, I promise you. What's your favorite vegan dish?
I'm going to say right now, my most popular vegan dish that everyone loves, and I'm talking about when I get feedback from an event, and I do this, if you go on my website, chefkennethclay.com, it's called Kenny's Soul Bowl. And that dish, people who are not vegan, when I show up at the set the next day or an event or whatever, get feedback, they're like, okay, that soul bowl was like the best thing on this whole buffet. Yeah, it's a really good dish. It's I can tell you guys about it real quick. It's Beyond Meat, sauteed with caramelized onions, and then we use the base is for forbidden black rice, brown rice, chickpeas, kale. Depending on the season, because I do change my menu seasonally. So in the wintertime and the fall, I use roasted Brussels sprouts. And then the sauces are so if you're from DC, you guys don't want mumbo sauce, but I make a vegan mumbo sauce, and we add a little jerk seasoning, and also a little Asian seasoning too. So I came up with a mumbo jerk Asian sauce to go with the Beyond Meat and the soul bowl. And yeah, I'm going to say that is definitely the most popular vegan dish that I have on the menu.
Man, you got to be from DC to understand mumbo sauce. You got a vegan mumbo sauce. Okay, I need the recipe on that. You only, if you're from DC, you will appreciate mumbo sauce. And if you're me, you're going to appreciate vegan if you're like me, trying to, make some different changes. Wow. Okay, so I do have the Kenny Soul Bowl on my list of, some things like vegan chimichanga. What is that? Is that like the chimichurri? What is vegan chimichanga?
Chimichanga.
Chimichanga. Okay.
Yeah, if you're familiar with Mexican food, the Mexicans, menus, they traditionally make it with chicken, but we came up with we use vegan sausage, and it's a breakfast item, and they also have there's so many different products now. They have vegan egg. I don't know if you guys ever seen that, but it's different ones, but I use Just Egg. Yes. And it's called Just Egg. And yeah, I tell you, man, as a chef, when I started really getting into this whole vegan food, I had to really think. I'm like, okay, Kenny, you're a chef, and it's just food, and you have to make it taste good. Like, could I be honest? Like, I hadn't cooked a lot of vegan food when I first started, but I just had to come up with the mindset that I'm a chef, I know how to cook, and I'm going to make vegan food taste good.
Yes.
And that's kind of how I came up with like my whole vegan
That's good. I believe I believe in you. Do you understand? I have believed in you ever since I met you. So I already know that the food tastes great. I wrote down, so I'm interested in the mushroom sliders, even though it was mozzarella cheese. You can veganize pretty much anything, in my opinion. Now that I've started cooking and learning, I know that you can substitute. So the mushroom sliders, I'm all over those. Bang bang broccoli. So what's that about? Because I don't really like broccoli. I love broccolini, but bang bang shrimp I used to eat. So bang bang broccoli. I'm trying to merge this thing together. What's that?
Well, quick story about the portobello mushroom sliders. I just did an event last week at the Martin Luther King Jr. Library in DC, and um, I guess the attendees at the event, they had never had a portobello mushroom slider before, and I'm going to say that was the most popular dish. That
Mm,
that event last week, that portobello mushroom slider was the most popular dish on the menu that day.
mm.
Yeah, they
Wow.
really love that portobello mushroom slider. And I used mozzarella cheese on that one for that event. But like you said, I could have made it vegan and I could have used vegan cheese.
Yes, yes. That's just the joy of the alternatives that we have now. I really appreciate that. I want to ask you how important, and this is for someone like me, just starting out cooking, kind of playing around in the kitchen, learning her way. How important is cookware? Having good cookware.
It's important. You don't want to you don't want to buy cheap cheap pots and pans. I think I made that mistake before, and you know it is important because if you buying trying to save money and cut corners, and it's just the you're gonna like it's not sturdy. Like I remember buying I remember buying some cookware from Walmart, and I'm not dogging Walmart at all. Hey, we all shop at Walmart, but I just remember when this set I bought. I'm like, why did I buy this? And because it
Hmm.
was it was very thin. You know what I mean? Like when you cook it in the pan, and
Yes.
it's very thin. So yeah, it is very important that you get. I'm not saying you have to get the top of the line cookware, but at least buy cookware that's going to be sturdy and useful. And when you turn the heat on, it's not going to like burn your product in a second because it just doesn't have any substance to it.
Yes, I learned that, and it's very affordable. I just bought a whole set of ceramic nonstick. It was BPA free, everything on Amazon for $69. You just can't beat that.
Yeah.
So yeah, and yeah, that's good. And food tastes better. You're right. It tastes better and it's better, in terms of my cooking. At least I have experienced that. So I want to ask you, what advice would you give someone who is aspiring to be a chef?
Um, my advice would be you you have to like to cook. I know that sounds, kind of silly, but you're cooking every day. So you have to enjoy cooking. When I came up, I just had a passion for it, and I think as a coming up and coming chef, you have to make sure you really want to do it. And if you do it, you have to find that passion. You have to put your heart and soul into it. And I know it might sound a little silly, but I'm serious. Like so, for instance, back when I was just starting, when I worked at Bull Feathers, I would go I would go out on a date with I'm out on a date, and we're downtown, and I would stop at restaurants and look at their menu to see what they were doing, and I would take notes of their menu. So with all that being said, it's just you just got to find that passion for it. And I think once you find that passion for it, and you get trained and trial and error, I really think you should, if you can, go to culinary school. Um, Yeah, you had to put your heart and soul into it, and but once you go to culinary school, like you still, for me, I went to culinary school, but at the same time, I practiced. I practice at home. I practice for my family, and that's how you get good at it.
Yeah.
That's how you
Yeah.
get good. It's just like Michael Jordan and LeBron James and Kobe Bryant when they
Mm-hmm.
were playing ball. They didn't just go home and just forget about basketball. They
Mm-hmm.
practice. And it's the same as a chef. You have to practice and you have to hone your skill. And basically it's the same thing.
Well, we appreciate the fact that that advice about having some passion and you want to love it. You gotta love it. We want the person that's flying our plane to love to get us there, to love what they're doing,
Exactly.
right?
Exactly.
Anybody, yeah, we want that. So you can tell so much, really, that love. At least I could. It was just really the best, and like I said, I thought about that when I saw your name kind of scroll up on my feed. I was like, oh, I'm going kind of making an idea or getting an idea of who I would like to bring to the channel because I just wanted to bring resources to people and actually to share my Freedom Fear to Freedom project, just things that impressed me, things that left an indelible mark on me. And your food, honestly, was one of them at 18 years old. So this is really full circle, and it's just an honor to have you back here to share your story. So before we wrap up, I wrote down a few things that I wanted to try. Kenny Soul Bowl is the one that I really, really want to try. You just sold that to me. So I would love to have the recipe, and I'm going to share it with the audience, people that are watching, because there are some really, really nice dishes on here. How do you make, before we go, how do you make the vegan chicken? Because that was another thing. I'm like, how am I going to give up chicken? I don't even miss it. I've been using mushrooms. What do you use?
Be honest with you, like I've told you with the expansion of vegan food, I buy the vegan chicken already. I buy it from the grocery store. You can get it at Whole Foods or Wegmans, and I'm not sure if the Safeways and Giants are selling the vegan chicken, but definitely Whole Foods and Wegmans.
Oh, okay. Okay. Got you, got you, got you. I've been using soy curls. I just learned about that, kind of soaking them, and it gives you the texture of chicken. If you soak it in broth, it can
Yeah,
give you that flavor. So, yeah, I've been doing a lot of things here, but I'm interested in the romaine kale salad. And guys, it's going to be in the show notes because,
excuse me, I just had that salad at my event. I just catered the Georgetown Black Alumni Association
mm,
brunch last week as well. And it's funny you say that romaine kale salad.
mhm,
And just to tell the guests what it is, it's tossed with cranberries and walnuts, vegan Parmesan cheese,
mm,
and a lemon vinaigrette. Oh, and
mm,
I also add quinoa to it,
mhm.
and that was a hit. That
That was a
salad was
hit.
a hit. It was a hit as
Yeah.
well.
Mm.
Yeah, it was a hit.
Yeah, I bet it is. It's on my list. I wrote down
Mhm.
some things. So I and in your so one of the other chefs that I kind of looked at the description of how to make it. Do you offer that? Do you have a cookbook?
You know what? I started a cookbook.
You
Um,
did?
I did start it. I am going to finish it. I did send it out to the literary agents of the world up in New York, but
Mhm.
it wasn't picked up. So I think I'm just going to have to self-publish. And yes, that is coming.
Yes, I'm so glad. Yes, you can self-publish. You can do it, and you keep doing it because I think it would really, really satiate, our desire to learn how to cook. It really would, and I appreciate your cooking. I appreciate it from decades ago. So I want our listeners and our to viewers to hear that and see that you are a chef that is about your business and your food is amazing, and it's amazing, I'm sure, just as amazing as it was 4 decades ago. So I am so grateful that you are here. So tell people how they can get in touch with you. I have your website, chefkennethclay.com. I love your hashtag, I just want to cook. And when you walked in there, you just wanted to cook. That's it. So when you walked in the bull feathers, you just wanted to cook. How was it? Was there any fear in terms of being a Black man in the chef world, wherever you were learning? And was there any obstacles there? Were there any discrepancies in terms of how you were received? Or was there any discrimination that you experienced? I just want to ask you that. I wanted to know.
I think when I first became a chef, I didn't. It wasn't any discrimination. It was almost like, so I was the only Black chef, the Black executive chef for the company, and I kind of did feel like I was looked at. They were like, like, okay, so can this guy bring it?
Mm-hmm.
And for me, it was. I think for me, it was a challenge. It was always a challenge that I had to always be on point. And I did feel that I couldn't mess up. Like I didn't have that opportunity to make a lot of mistakes as the white chefs did. And so in my mind, I had to be better. And I remember, in the industry, I was very, very competitive. And it was almost like a game for me. Like, I'm going to win. Like, I'm going to win this game. I'm going to be better than all these other guys. And, the fear compartment for me was when we would have these corporate meetings. And, we're sitting there with all the corporate executives. And when it was my time to speak up, to talk at the meetings, it was in the beginning, it was very challenging because I'm the only Black guy in there. And, being it's like the elephant in the room. And I kind of felt like everyone was looking at me like, okay, so what is this guy, what is he bringing to the table? So it was fear with that, but then I overcame it, because I'm like, you know what, I'm here. And I just overcame the fear. I overcame it.
That's exactly what I want to hear. Fear to freedom. That's the reason why I started this channel, because I am my own project, and it's amazing when you overcome fear, because fear is just not real. It doesn't exist in God. And obviously, you were destined for this. This is your purpose. This is your dharma. We love it. I love it. And I hope that the audience loves it. So I just really want to thank you for hanging out with me today, this morning. Thank you for taking time. I love you. You look so good. You look so very good. You look well. And I am glad that you are well. And so is there any parting words, anything you want to leave with the audience before we leave here? You can say it now.
I'm going to say, with the name of this podcast, Fear to Freedom, it was fear also when I branched out and started my own company. And I'm just going to say to anyone who's starting out on their own, there is going to be fear, but you just have to keep the faith, and you have to know your trade, whatever trade that, whatever company that you're starting, and you just have to just know that you're going to make it, and that you can overcome it. And yeah.
Well, thank you so much. I really appreciate you so much for being here. And thank you for your words of wisdom. We understand that fear does exist, but it does not have to immobilize us. Thank you for hanging out with us at the Fear to Freedom Project today. If you are here for the first time, thank you. If you're a returning guest, thank you as well. Don't forget to like and subscribe so that we can bring you more content that can help you in this human experience. I am Dr. Deb. I love you. Peace and take care.
Thank you so much for having me, Deb. It was a great conversation. Thank you so much.
You are so welcome.